Okay. So this will be more fun, hopefully, than stressful. Um, so have any of you worked on commercials ever before? Kind of. What did you do?
One of my friends went home. He filmed some commercials, and one of my friends was a model for him. So I was just kind of like watching him like do it and stuff.
Okay. What did you work on?
It was an assignment in like the 10th or 11th grade. We had to make, advertise a product, create and advertise a product. And I still have it. I was actually just watching it the other day. It was a pair of Crocs, but they were called Holy Fails, and they were supposed to make you super athletic. And the guy we had doing it, he was a basketball player, and he was like intentionally messing things up. Like he'd be like, I have really good aim when I'm wearing Holy Fails, and he'd like go to hit a baseball and the bat would fly out of his hands, or he would try to jump over a hurdle and he'd fall, and he actually ended up skidding and busting up his knee. And
Oh no.
it was like, it was supposed to be irony. It was 10th grade. It was bad, but it's really funny thinking about it.
Well, hopefully, you'll get a chance to do one that's kind of your own voice and make it however you want, because that's what we're going to work on this week. Now, even though this is a cinema class, there's two reasons I like doing commercials. The first is that once you know the properties of film, one of the things I wanted to go over, and I'll probably just make a little video and post that too, is to never forget the, set your frame rate. So even on your phones, like just playing around with them and going onto the camera, and you go onto video, like on mine in the upper corner, I see HD and I see 30. I can click it to 4K, and I can click it to 24. That's the frame rates we talked about, like the first couple classes. And that'll give you that more cinematic look. So you have 24, 30, and 60 to choose from. And essentially, what you're telling the camera to do is take pictures 24 times a second, 30 times a second, or 60 times a second. When you do 24, you're getting more motion blur, which looks more cinematic. You'll just see, even on phones, you can see a bit of a difference. So the more pictures that there are, the more crisp it's going to look, the more clean it's going to look. That's why, like, watching a sporting event doesn't look like a film, or the news doesn't look like a film, or YouTube videos sometimes don't look like a film. That's more pictures, they're just more crisp, they're more clear. And then if you're using a camera, you just got to adjust, you got to set your shutter speed to double the frame rate. So if you're shooting 24, whatever camera setting is closest to 24 on the shutter speed. So 50 probably most likely on most cameras. But anyway, with commercials, this might be weird, but I'm gonna look a little more this way just so it's picking up my voice better through the things as I'm recording it. The other reason I want you to do this is, one, this is now after you've taken this class and you know some editing and you've got to work and film some stuff, you can go out and shoot a commercial. And you can make a lot of money shooting commercials, because every business needs a commercial. And so that's one of them. And the other is that shooting commercials sometimes can just really hone your eye in and your edit skills to be more precise. Because with commercials, there's an exactness that you kind of want to follow. So this is generic, and I'm sorry, but you're gonna we'll kind of get through these. For those of you watching this, there's only 3 people here, but we'll answer these as best we can, and I can jump in whenever you need. But so first, why do we need commercials? What do you think?
It's what helps a product get sold, like, more.
Right. Yeah, like if you've ever seen the show 30 Rock, the head, Alec Baldwin, plays the head of NBC and GE, and it's all about the behind the scenes of this show. And the people who run the show are always like, it's all about our show, it's all about our show. And he's like, no, your show's not important. The ad revenue we generate from it is. So get commercials, get information out there. And that's how we advertise things. It's kind of a balance that got struck with things like television, and now we see it in YouTube, Facebook, any kind of social media, there's some kind of commercials somewhere. And so where do we see commercials? Absolutely everywhere. Even advertisements outside or in the baseball field or in the arena or something like that. There's ads that are a form, maybe not a commercial in terms of a moving picture, but they're a way for companies to generate revenue. And is the long and short of why we need them. So the commercials help fund the business, which help fund something somewhere. And that's a lot of times traditionally when we think of commercials. So what are the parallels between film and commercials? Let me see if I can get this to work. I was having, like, the other day, I don't know why, like, I could post a link and it's like, ooh, we like this. Like, I'll go back to that one because it was kind of crazy. But the long and short of it, of that video was, you can tell a story. There's some commercials out there that can tell a story just like a film one. Let me try one more time. Let me just see. Because now you won't even let me click on the link. What if I do that? Oh, wait a minute. 2 days of trying. Let's see if I open you up here. Okay. So you can make a commercial that is a story, that is, essentially a short film. I always thought that was hilarious, but I remember the first time seeing it, like, okay, this could be about 30 to 45 seconds shorter and just get at a minute. That's why I capped at a minute for this assignment going on. But you can see how you can tell a story and get something across to your audience. So we think of the characteristics of the commercial. It differs based on what the platform or where it's going out to go. So this is the absolute very first commercial I ever shot in my life. And so this is a characteristics of the traditional, for television style commercial.
At Doubleheader, we have the largest selection of new and used games. Looking for the latest system? We have them all. Nintendo Wii U, PlayStation 3, Nintendo 3DS, Xbox 360. Want to trade in that old system and your used games? At Doubleheader, we buy for more and sell for less. Doubleheader, where Pine Bluff goes for all its video game needs.
So we had a client who just wanted the very generic kind of commercial. He wanted to get his employees and best customers in it, wanted to do things like this, and a call to action at the end. So very standard, made for TV style commercial. Typically, that's going to be 30 seconds. Well, not typically, that's generally always 30 seconds exactly, because they need to know when going out and broadcasting it what it needs to be. So the characteristics, it's generally high key lighting, which if we remember back from the lighting, we have very evenly lit. We don't want dark dramatic shadows. Everybody's happy, big, nice wide shots, showing, big encompassing space, and then close-ups when we're wanting to focus on something specific. A lot of more center framing versus, keeping what you want right there in the middle for people to focus on, as opposed to, an unbalanced shot of some kind. A lot of times it's motion moving left to right, not always, but a lot of times, because we read in the Western hemisphere, we go left to right, so our eyes have just kind of grown accustomed to first looking to the left and then moving to the right. Not always, and you could get away, it depends on what that motion is, but again, a very specific running time on stuff like television. And with that, there's like that 30-second, you're typically seeing a new shot every 3 seconds. So that motion keeps you engaged and keeps you interested. They're always very staged, and they have some kind of branding color scheme. So, are you kidding me? Every time. Every time I go from Google Drive to YouTube, it's like I have to restart it to get back into it. Okay. So this encompasses two things: that color scheme that's going on. Usually a company, or they'll want you to kind of come up and develop what's the color palette kind of going on, and usually that has to do with name recognition, branding. So like Facebook, for instance, what's their color? Blue, right? So anything kind of advertising, as far as Facebook goes, you're going to see that kind of whatever that blue is that Zuckerberg picked out. But we also have examples of taglines. Have a break, have a Kit Kat. That's kind of something that changes, and then even still, not so much now. I think it's kind of not going away, but that whole hashtag and everything like that is kind of something to get a trending. Big beefy bliss. So some kind of tagline that fits in there. So as far as sound goes with things like this, we have on-screen talent versus voiceover. Deciding which it needs and how it needs it or where it needs it. Does music communicate enough? Do we need that voiceover talent to really tell us what's going on? And then, always being in mind of where text is going to be placed, because inevitably text is most likely going to go somewhere in a commercial. So planning your shots ahead and knowing where it's going to be. So here's an example of one that we did that kind of has both, and we went back and forth. You'll see the text popping up, and I personally thought it needed voices. Our client did have the voice read along with the text as it pops up, because I was like, most people are watching on their phones or something like that. but this commercial was specifically made for a conference that it was going to be blown up on a big screen and it was going to be on a loop with other commercials, so they didn't worry as much. But we had to plan out, where it was playing from, how it was playing, and plan that ahead of time.
With Lumo Exchange, you can search and compare exchange rates from our partner banks in the Philippines, save more money, and send more love. Magpadala ng pag-ibig. Lumo Exchange. Search, compare, send money. Sign up today at lumoexchange.com and get a free transfer.
Okay, so again, it was made for a very specific audience, so knowing what they wanted, how they wanted it, that's what you find if you do commercials is kind of dealing with clients and knowing exactly what they want. But again, planning out where is text going to go ahead of time, because when you get to post, it becomes much harder to decide where to put it and what works versus just leaving yourself this area of negative space ahead of time if you know any kind of text is going in there. But again, this all translates back to film because, in my mind, the commercials are way harder. They just are, because you have a short amount of time to do a lot. Whereas a film, you can kind of draw it out. It's got a little bit more breathing room. So this helps kind of sharpen your skills with exactness. Okay, so then this other element is a call to action, and it's just a piece of content intended to induce the viewer, reader, or listener to perform a specific act. It's basically where do you go from here? So at the end of the commercial, you'll see that caller go by here, or whatever the case may be that gets whoever's listening onto moving forward to wanting to do it. So we kind of talked about these. We have TV, social media. TV, again, is going to be very specific on how it's got to be, and most of that comes down to running time because you're paying for that ad space. So it's got to be exactly 30 seconds. Very like Super Bowl and things like that, you might see some that are a little bit longer, but mostly, or shorter. Sometimes you'll see 15-second type things, but typically you're going to see in that 30-second range. The one thing as well to know about like social media advertising, it's a completely different thing. But each channel, each platform has its own rules. So something like YouTube will change periodically as far as what's allowed, what's not allowed, and how you get your advertisement out. Facebook is the same. Facebook 1 week will change to an ad needs to be this long, or an ad needs to be this long in order to get more clicks and get more views. So it's always good. And then Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, they all have their own rules. They all have their own aspect ratios. They all have their own pricing and things like that. So if you do happen to ever go out and take the knowledge from this class to try and start a company or just make a commercial to make extra money, or just for this class, just knowing where am I putting this out in the world to help generate revenue. If you can go into a meeting and show them the breakdown of the rules of different platforms and getting the most viewers out of it, it changes periodically, so giving clients that knowledge becomes very important. So here's two examples from the same company. We have sort of the more traditional route that they wanted to go, and then we encourage them to do more of a story route. So you can kind of see the difference here.
Need space? Spaces Storage is the only place you should ever consider when it comes to storing your belongings. And with 18 different size spaces available to choose from, we can help you find the perfect space for your budget and needs. No matter what the weather is doing outside, we always have you covered. Wide driveways capable of handling the largest of moving trucks, and a 2-story covered unloading bay that provides easy access to our climate spaces. And remember, what's important to you is important to us. Always clean, safe, and secure.
Okay, so that's the big thing that they want to take it away. Their location is clean, safe, and secure, right? So that shows you compacting it down in 30 seconds what you can get. So this is more of a story version. This is meant more for like websites, YouTube, some kind of social media. that explains about the business. I won't play the whole thing, but
Our customers want to know that where they're storing is clean, and they want to know that they're safe when they're on our properties, and they also want to know that when they leave, that their belongings are secure. And that's what we provide every day: clean, safe, and secure, always.
Well, a lot of people say I could be a storage geek. I love storage. It's exciting to me.
We just try to do everything we can to make the experience better for them and to make it less stressful.
Well, you never know what it could be. It could be a divorce, it could be death of a loved one, it could be just moving from town that you're not familiar with. We're here to help.
We've been a customer of storage. We've been on the other side of the desk. We know what's important to our customers because it's important to us.
My husband and I were actually in the airline industry. We moved a lot.
Martha and I moved, I think, 7 times in 2 years.
So we understand the needs of our customers.
So in 1992, we opened our first store. 27 years later, I'm sitting here talking to you in the showroom of my brand new Spaces Storage in Riverdale, which is a 100,000 square foot facility and has over 600 units.
We are local, so we're not a big box store. They come in, they have a personal touch. Most of my customers have my cell phone number. They know how to get in touch with me if ever they have a problem.
so you can kind of
We
see
have over
how
600
one is more, these are the facts, these are why you should join, and one's more of a story. So the possibilities are a little bit endless
Need space?
when it comes to creating any kind of commercial. And then we have kind of information videos that are out there as well.
My name is Jack Sundell, and my wife and I are the owners and operators of the Root Cafe. For me, I've always loved cafe culture, the kind of place in a community where people come together, they eat good food, talk about what's going on in the neighborhood or in the city. I've always loved fresh foods, delicious local produce, shopping at the farmer's market. One of the things I think that makes us a sustainable business is the fact that we do focus on sourcing local foods. We source about 77% of our food and beverage cost from local farmers and producers. That ranks us in the top half of 1% for farm-to-table restaurants nationwide. When we talk about small farms, local farms, we're talking about, in general, diversified farms, so not like large-scale monocultures that happen to be in Arkansas. When you purchase from these farms, you're supporting farmers that use more sustainable practices. I think we get an authentic sense of fulfillment from the work that we do. We're really proud of the fact that we source local food as much as we possibly can. We're able to build great relationships with the farmers and producers that we buy from. And there are a lot of producers we've been buying from since we opened, people that I've known for 10 or 12 years now. So it's been great for us to be involved in our community in this way. I think people in Little Rock recognize that the Root is trying to do something beneficial for the community, that we're here because we want to make Little Rock and the Soma neighborhood a better place to live and to work and to play. That's really been the kind of the driving motivation behind both opening the cafe and everything that we've done since we've been open.
So it can kind of one like this is kind of in the middle of the story and the information. It's a little bit of a hybrid of the two. So one that's kind of specifically 100% just information. These are so ubiquitous, and if you could ever film these, we used to work with Southern Living, and companies just gobble these up if you can do these. So when you do a commercial, I'm totally okay with doing one that's a little bit more like this, a little more of an information. So you don't as necessarily even need a lot of anything flashy or big or anything like that to communicate some kind of information. And these type of commercials are huge for companies like Southern Living. We used to do food ones all the time too. So honing in on making something like this that can communicate information in a very simple way becomes kind of good. Again, it translates to film. It helps you really pare down what's necessary, what's unnecessary, what helps make this effective. What kind of shots do I really need? So that's that correlation. And again, I know this isn't a marketing class or anything like this, but it does help it if you know why it's being done, who do we want to reach, and is it goal oriented. So for this, you're kind of creating your own client. But I think what's fun and what works for a lot of people when they do this assignment is they usually go one of two routes. They go the funny route or I don't want to say easy at all, because I don't mean that in that way, but the kind of not thinking of it as if you are being hired professionally to do this. So what a lot of people do, and what I encourage them to do, is find something you actually care about, basketball team, church, something like that. Make a legit commercial and try it towards something that you actually do care about, and then turn around and say to that company, to that team, whoever, here's something for you to advertise. That's what I would encourage everybody to do with this. And of course you can go, I mean, I've had one kid do bananas, and it was awesome. I've had people do car commercials, just absolutely anything. But if there's something that you are passionate about, a group, a club, your life in any sort of way, or any sort of product that you actually do like, try making a legit commercial as best you can. And I think you'll have fun. And it'll make you more honed into focusing on what it is that you want to do. I have some more examples. So like Nike came out with this campaign, and it's literally just one very long shot. And
greatness.
And voiceover.
It's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift, reserved for a chosen few, for prodigies, for superstars. And the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
There you go. So, what is that? Oh, that's a minute long. It's one shot, and it's effective. It's kind of there's not a whole lot to it, but it's effective. So you can get kind of creative with it. I have more examples posted on there as well for you to watch. It's just kind of a random assortment, but that's kind of the long and short of that. So for the assignment, for the commercial, so it's 50 points. So you can do one of two ways. You can do that exact kind of more made for TV, 30-second traditional one, or you can kind of do one that's a little bit more looser, gives you a little bit more breathing room, and that is the information video. And you can make that kind of like we had, where they're almost like little mini documentaries. You can do that too. That is perfectly fine with me, to use any of the formats that I've shown you, to just try this out, to see what you come up with. Now, I did actually, just because I know there's more going on, this is not due until November 19th. So I'm giving you a little bit extra time on it to go forward, because your productions you're working on as well, and just want to give those dates. So this week was the calendar, the line script, the location report. We have the storyboards are due on the 14th, and the call sheet the 17th. Now the call sheet especially, and honestly the calendar too. Again, if you're not certain on those, if all these documents are in before the end of class, that's what I'm going for. Except the shot list and storyboards specifically. That I need to know that you're kind of moving forward with doing things. Same with the location report, which that's today, so that I should have. You should have an idea of where that is. And then the rough cut coming back December 1st will be the first time we're back from Thanksgiving break. So that's the rough cut is due. Before that, we'll watch it and we'll go over that. And we'll screen the videos that you did from this week because I'm excited to see them. And then your final cut will be due the week after that, so December 8th. And then that's class. So we're really gearing up to the last few. But these next 2 weeks, so next week the plan was to give you that week to shoot. And now that I've thrown this commercial on you, give you time to get those done. But also the rest of this class period is like I will give you, the next 2 hours you could just go and start working on it and, basically get that all lined up and figured out. Also on this, I am okay if you want to team up with somebody on it. Just make sure, I didn't put that on there, but I'm telling this to the people watching it too, just let me know if you plan on doing it. No titles, nothing like that at the beginning, just the commercial. I'll know whose is whose. Just make sure everything's well framed, steady, and in focus. That's really kind of all I'm looking for. And try and keep your lighting scheme like consistent. So I'd really go for that high key. So any way you could pump more light in at any, I know there's no lights to check out, but any way you could be in a very bright room, something, any way of getting any more light will definitely be good. That's all for this assignment for right now. Do y'all have any questions on that? Any questions on the assignments that are coming up or anything that may be coming up? Would you be interested if we had a screening night? I was kind of thinking December 8th, we could kind of use that as a screening night to everybody watch the final films and then watch some of the stuff from the past assignments that I think turned out really well. Okay, that's what I kind of thought, and just you can invite friends and stuff like that to come in. Really, I'd like to give you this time to start going to work on that, so you have that time. Same with when you're shooting. If I will even show up if you need help or have questions, really email me, call me. If you're like, we're having trouble with the shot or my camera, I will come down, I will help you, whatever you need to help get your films where they need to be. I'm really here to help. And I really appreciate the effort that everybody's done on their assignments. I think they've turned out really well. So it's really short tonight. It's so hard when no one's showing up, but hopefully you get something out of this. And I really don't. I was gonna throw another little thing in there, but I think this is plenty with everything else that you have. One thing too is just don't forget about the bare bones reading and I put the lecture. It automatically just drops things in the bottom. I was like, I thought I put that on there. So there's the lecture. I'll post a video one if you need it as well. Assignment for there. Again, don't forget the big one. Don't forget about your film journal that we kind of had from the get-go this semester. And that's really all I have for this class. So any questions? Thoughts, concerns, fears? No? All right. Well, like I said, I'll post this. I'll look at your videos and I will get those